Hello, football fans. It's September 22nd, Wednesday, 2021. So, looks like Alabama, Oregon, and Georgia are the three that have separated themselves and said, "We're here, everybody. We came to the party. We brought all our own party favors, and we're ready to party." And we know that about those guys. You got Oklahoma keeping the seat warm at 4 right now. Then you got the three teams that those top three teams beat: Ohio State, Florida, Clemson, breathing down their neck right now. And so that's an interesting little situation that we have up there at the top. And then outside of that, you got some guys that still have to prove themselves, peeking in there, looking around, looking at that Oklahoma seat is what they're looking at right now. And you got your Ole Misses, Texas A&M, Iowa, Michigan, Arkansas. Go ahead and throw them in there as well. And so maybe that's a little too soon for Arkansas, but it's fun. We're having fun here. And so that's what it's looking like across the nation from where I see it right now. Which don't mean too much, as we'll probably see moving ahead here. All right. I'm going to gloss over what happened in the conference last week because we didn't get a chance to do that too good during the last video. So New Mexico, Texas A&M, 34-0. Texas A&M still just looking very bland to me, and but they're winning. So say what you will. You got Kentucky struggling more than they should against Chattanooga, in my opinion. But that's okay. It's a win, and I feel like Kentucky's in an interesting situation, like they usually are over there in the East. Southeast Missouri State getting scored a lot of points on, but looks like I know they had 0 in the second half. So kudos for Southeast Missouri State scoring 28 points in the second half after they were pretty much getting embarrassed. Tennessee Tech, Tennessee. Look at you, Tennessee, 56-0. Teams that are totally lost don't win games 56-0. I don't care who you're playing. So that's good news for Tennessee. They're not totally lost right now, and that's as good as you can ask for those guys. Alabama, Florida. We talked about that enough in the last video, I believe. Alabama's just got to tighten up things on offense, and they're fine. Florida is a great team, and we'll obviously talk about that more a little bit later. Georgia Southern, Arkansas, 45-10. That's what they should have done. Exactly. They're definitely to the point now where those kind of games, they got no business struggling against these kind of teams. Not anymore. Memphis, Mississippi State, we talked about that a little bit. This is exactly the kind of loss I would expect to see Mississippi State suffer this year. Like I said, they're a mystery because of their coach Leach, and they're gonna surprise folks all year long, whether it's losing or winning. Probably a combination of both, knowing how that guy operates. So he's playing his own kind of game, I think. Anyway, Georgia, South Carolina. I picked pretty much what happened. Not too surprising there. South Carolina, I think they're a little bit light in the britches this year. And I don't mean anything weird by that. Just mean they're a weak football team. All right, Auburn, Penn State. Great game, classic game. Auburn, both of those teams look pretty good to me, and are going to have a lot to say in both of their conferences about what happens. LSU, Central Michigan. Yeah, whatever. Ole Miss still definitely showing what they got on offense and handling a Tulane team that Oklahoma could not handle. So that's a good sign for them, and a bad sign for us, I'm afraid. Stanford, Vanderbilt, smart guys. Good for Stanford for beating Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt, not looking nearly as terrible the last couple of weeks as we thought there at the beginning. All right. All right. Well, enough of that. Now it's time to move on. Move on to next week. Alabama's playing one of those games, but at least Southern Miss has sort of a name. You know, there's a lot of history between Alabama and Southern Miss. Brett Favre came down there in 1990 and handed Gene Stallings and the boys a loss. And I was there in 2000 in Birmingham and witnessed a 21 to nothing, just sad drubbing against the Southern Miss team. Jeff Bauer, I believe, was the coach's name back then, and he had a good run. He had a lot of good teams, and that they were never a tough out, not for Alabama in those days. But anyway, it's a different world now that we live in, and you take these kind of games and sort of they're all the same game in some form or another. I believe Alabama's probably going to come out crisp in this one and score on their first two possessions, and then they'll just coast in some form or another from that point forward. Hopefully they'll play a lot of players. What I'm hoping for is to see more Trey Sanders and more Roydell Williams. I would love to see the receiver, G. Hall, unless they're going to redshirt him, which, if they redshirt him, that's great. That means we'll have him for even longer, and we probably don't need him anyway. But, I would like to see the offense tighten up in case, we get in another situation like we were in Saturday, and I'm afraid we're, going to be gearing up for another one, very soon, right after this game. So they really need to be trying to tighten up that offense and make sure that they can at least get points every time they have a possession, because they're going to need it. And the defense, they're going to look strong because of the competition. And so I'm just going to probably try to average in the scores of every kind of game Alabama has like this and say Alabama wins 45-10. And so now we're going to move on to the rest of the conference. Oh, before we do that, I'm going to do a national upset pick again. And I feel like I'm picking on Oklahoma, but, they just can't seem to handle guys the way that a true contender should be handling guys. So they got West Virginia coming in this week. I don't pick the scores for that, but I just it's a watch, really. It's an upset watch. Be on the lookout. Oklahoma, West Virginia. Now we're going to move on to this week in the conference, and it's a good one. It's a good week in the conference. A lot of conference games. Georgia is going to be going to Vanderbilt. Well, I think Georgia is going to continue their ego inflation tour, and I see them beating Vanderbilt 48-3. LSU and Mississippi State. Oh, this is delicious, and this is a noon game, so the corn dogs are going to be sleepy. They hadn't had enough cocktails yet, so they're just ripe for the picking every time they go out on the field, in my opinion. And we'll see if they prove me wrong this week. So I like Mike Leach and the Mississippi State Bulldogs back-to-back years over LSU, and I like them 31-20. I do. All right, Missouri-Boston College. Interesting game. Boston College is undefeated, but and it's in their place, but it's another one of these early games, and I think Missouri's going to go in there and show, flex some SEC muscle, if you will, which, I'm not really an SEC fan. I hate all these teams because they're the ones that beat us, and we play every year, so I'm not an SEC chanter, that's for sure. But this is an interesting game, and I do think Missouri is going to flex a little bit of muscle up there. Their defense is good enough, got to be good enough against an ACC opponent to keep them under 30. So let's say 41-24 Missouri over Boston College. No, 38-24. 2 touchdowns. 38-24 over Boston College, Missouri. Flexing SEC muscle. Texas A&M at Arkansas. This is the game of the week. This is the game of the week in the conference. And, both of these teams play a similar kind of style. They're both running game, old school defense. type of teams. And, you know, Arkansas has always made this game a classic, it seems like. And they haven't had a good team in a long time. And Texas A&M just always seems like they're on just some bland plateau unless they have Johnny Manziel. And I don't think they got Johnny Manziel this year. And I think they're trying to, you know, run the same kind of playbook that Kirby and Georgia and the boys are doing over there. But they got a much better, maybe not much better talent, but they do have better talent than Texas A&M at Georgia. So I just feel like Texas A&M's program is plateauing right now, and Arkansas is on a rocket, it seems like, right now with Sam Pittman. He's doing everything right over there. And I like Arkansas. I like a close, tight game like this game has been. And they're playing it in the Jerry world again. Jerry world again. And so expect another barn burner. But I like Arkansas in this one, 31-28. Georgia State, Auburn. Auburn should win this one by 40, so I'm going to say 50-10 Auburn. Tennessee, Florida. Man, you know, when I started following football really closely, like only an adult would be able to do, Tennessee, Florida was it. That was the game of the year every year in Tennessee, or in the SEC. And you know, it's just sad where they're at right now, but I do think that they're a team that's a little bit on the rise. And I think that their defense is going to continue to play above expectations in this one. But I think that a lot of that is going to have to do with the fact that Florida's going to be a little hungover. They got to be. I mean, that was just a war that they got through with. And but I do believe that Florida's talent is going to give way in the second half. And I like them 38-17 over the Vols. And that's also down there in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. So I feel pretty confident about the Gators' chances. All right, Kentucky, South Carolina. You know, I just feel like South Carolina is going to get slapped around a little bit this year. First year coach. And it wasn't a really good situation for him to be walking into anyway, thanks to Muschamp. So, and I think Kentucky's ready to flex a little bit of muscle. I like them in this game 31-7. And that's going to be it for the picks this week, guys. You know, we'll see how they turn out. Probably terribly. But I had a lot of fun last week doing it, and we're going to have a lot of fun this weekend doing it as well. Can't wait for these games. A lot of fun ones. And we'll be talking to you soon.